everybody, and welcome to your favorite show each and every week. We're talking about TGFF Game Day. Brought to you by Ardensburg and Grill in Central South Carolina. Appreciate y'all joining us this week. Make sure you go by and see Ardensburg and Grill to see Donnie and Paul. They will take care of you and give you the tailgate package that you need. And if you say TGF Game Day sent you, they will make sure to give it to you at 10% off. Folks, we got a great week ready for you. We had some great games this week. Miami beat Florida State. Clemson beat North Carolina. And then we had an upset this week, and that was Florida beating Texas. But let's get to our first games of this week, and I'll let Justin take it.
So, Jay, we had a lot of good stuff going on. Michigan got a good win. Virginia got another win at Louisville as well. Another really good week. And another good slate of games coming up this week. So, can't wait to get this one started as well. So, this first segment we're going to be doing is going to be our good friends over at the SEC. So, they are going to let us know what has been going on from there as well. So we will let our good friends there talk to us this week about what happened in the SEC, especially with that big upset that you talked about over there, Jay. All right, thank y'all so much. Welcome back to the show. Thank y'all so much for our good friends over at the Coach's Box. They're going to be brought to us this week by Pepsi. As you can see, our good friend Mark's over there down in one right now. So if you really want your ice cold, refreshing drink, make sure that you take your tip to the Pepsi. So thank y'all so much for doing that for the Coach's Box this week as well. Our next one up is going to be our underdog pick of the week, brought to us by Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming. For all your dog grooming needs, make sure you go out to Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming. So tell us what we got for this week for the underdog pick of the week, Scoob. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank y'all so much for that pick, Scoob. We appreciate that. Thank you so much to our good friends over at Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming as well. We look forward to them sponsoring us every week. If y'all need your dog grooming needs, make sure you pick up and stop by and see Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming. And then, folks, our next one up this week, we're going to have our good friend of the show, and Jay, our co-host. He's going to talk to us this week about what's going on in the Southern Conference. And he's going to be talking about what happened last week as well as the games coming up this week. So thanks so much, Jay, for doing that. That's sponsored, or that's going to be brought to us by Beef and Rib, our good friends over at Donnie and Angie as well. They're going to be helping us out with Beef and Rib. For all of that, go stop by and see them. And thanks so much, Jay. Take it away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Southern Conference news and notes for TGFF Game Day. And this is for Week 7 as we are going into, the last part of the season in the SoCon. And it's great. It's going to be a great week. And here we go. First of all, we got Mercer traveling to Princeton. And this is going to be an interesting game. I think that Mercer's going to come out on top. At least I hope they do, because, of course, Mercer's SoCon, so we definitely want SoCon teams to be strong at the end of the season. So let me have Mercer over Princeton. Then we got Norfolk traveling to Wofford. I tell you what, this is going to be a very interesting game. And I think it's going to be Wofford coming out with a win. That's right, Wofford gets the win this week. Then we have Adasta going to the Citadel. And you know how I am right now on the Citadel. I'm very strong on the Citadel, and I think that this is a week that they pull out yet another win. And the Citadel is going to be a very strong contender at the end of the season. Then we have VMI going to ETSU. And I'm telling you what, after last week, ETSU almost pulled it out against Furman. And Furman had to really pull one off there at the end. And I just don't think VMI's quite there yet. They're getting a lot better, but ETSU picks up the win this week. And then we come to the game of the week in the SoCon. Furman, number 1, traveling to Western Carolina. wanting to be number one. This game is going to be very interesting. I look forward to be a high scoring type ball game in some ways. Western Carolina's quarterback is just awesome. I mean, you got to give the guy his dues. I mean, he is really good, and I think he's going to be a great future superstar in the NFL. Just either at running back or at quarterback, he could do both. But in this game, I'm going with my Paladins. I think Stone King's going to have a big game. I think he gets 4 sacks in this game. That's right, 4 sacks by Stone King. And also, my guy, Trey Hidden. I'm telling you right now, I look for him. He got the yards last week I said he would get. Now he's just got to get the touchdowns. He's going to need it in this game. And I think the running game is going to come alive with Gavin Hall. So I tell you what, let me have Furman in this game in what many people would think would be an upset because it is being played in Cullowhee. And I think it's going to be a 38-37 ball game. I really think this is going to come down to the end, kind of like what we did a couple years ago when Furman went up to Western Carolina. And I think this is going to be one of those games that's going to be must-see TV. That's right, must-see TV in the SoCon. Furman versus Western Carolina. It's going to be an all-out shootout. I think that both teams are good. I don't think there's a huge difference between them. That's why I'm just saying this is going to be a 1-point game. And that's my thoughts this week on the Southern Conference news and notes. Of course, look forward to everybody on TGFF Game Day following us. Make sure you do. Make sure you're following TGFF Game Day. Go to redbubble.com on our site. You can get your shirt too. We appreciate everybody supporting us, being there for us, and thank you again. And, of course, this is brought to you by Beef and Rib Restaurant in Westminster, South Carolina. Go by and see Angie and Jill. They will take care of you with the food that'll make your tongue slap your teeth out. So good. Miss Angie knows how to cook. Make sure you get up there. Beef and Rib, Westminster, South Carolina. And there you go. There's your SoCon news and notes for this week. Brought to you by Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. Go by and see Angie there. Her and Jill will take care of you. They have meat and 3, some of the best food you could ever put in your mouth. That is at Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. All right, well, let's send it over to Justin, who's going to give us our ACC news and notes, brought to you by Clemson Family Wish. Make sure you go to ClemsonFamilyWish.com and donate because you're going to be helping give sports wishes to kids and adults that need them.
Thanks so much, Jay. And definitely our good friends over at Clemson Family Wish. They're going to be having a really huge ball and auction coming up here in the month of October. We've got plenty of good things for that. That's going to go to sponsor all of our things that we go to support them. They help out anyone who's in critical or anything like that who needs healthcare needs. So really appreciate them sponsoring us this week. So thank y'all so much. Wanted to give them the shout out. So last week, Jay, it was another really interesting week. Clemson did what they needed to do against North Carolina. We had Louisville continuing to fall. They lost at home to Virginia. Virginia is now 3-0 in the conference and looking to continue their win streak. They look like a really good football team. Their only loss now is in a non-conference way to North Carolina State. Miami also getting it done against Florida State last week. So lots of good things that we talked about there. And then this upcoming week, we're going to talk a little bit about a game in the ACC a little bit later on. But, you know, this upcoming week's got a really full slate, so we're looking forward to seeing a lot of them. So we're going to talk a little bit about those 3 games this week. Our first one is going to be at noon, and we are going to talk about the Pittsburgh and Florida State game. So we're going to be looking at, do the Seminoles rebound? Thomas Castellanos had a really rough week last week, as well as Pitt did as well. So I think Florida State is going to get this one done at home. They are in Tallahassee, and that one's at 12. The next one that we're going to be talking about is the Battle of the Techs at 3:30. That one's going to be in Atlanta, and Georgia Tech on another interesting game last week. They had another good win. They stayed undefeated in the conference. They are 2-0, and they're at home this week against Virginia Tech, who took a loss last week. They are now at 1-1, so this game a little bit more tougher for Georgia Tech, but I think they're going to get that job done at home. I think they've really started to play well, especially at Bobby Dodd. So Kyron Jones is still playing at a really high level, but so is Haynes King. He's really almost got 400 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. So I think Georgia Tech gets that one done. And then the other game, that's the night game on ACC Network, that one's going to be Clemson and Boston College. Clemson's going to continue to look to get back on track. They're heading up to Chestnut Hill. And one of the surprises of this year, though, is Mr. Lonergan at quarterback for Boston College. He's got 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns, but I just think this Clemson team is starting to get back on track, especially after what they did last week with 35 points in the first half. So I think Clemson gets the job done this week. So we once again want to thank our good friends over at the Clemson Family Wish. Thank y'all so much, Foundation. Thanks for all that y'all do. And that's the wrap up from what we got from the ACC, Jay. So really looking forward to that.
Let's go to Mark in the Big Ten with his Cowboy Revolution. That's right, Cowboy Revolution. Make sure you use them. Use the code GSM and you could save 10% off or more with your order. And let's go to the guys, Mark and Justin, with the Big Ten news and notes.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jay, for that introduction. And thank you, Cowboy Revolution. Make sure you guys do go check those guys out. Once again, like Jay said, GSM gets you 10% off. Right now, Big Ten is starting to actually take shape now. You got teams like Penn State who have now lost 2 games in the conference, so they're looking to try to get back on track. But we're not really going to talk much about them on this weekend's games. There's homecoming against Northwestern, so we're just going to leave it at that for that one. Like I said, there are some interesting games. We're going to talk about Ohio State and Illinois later on in the show. But the 3 games that we're going to go over today, first one, it will be tomorrow night. You got Rutgers playing at Washington. Right now, if you would have told me earlier this year or before this year started that was going to be an interesting game, I probably would have told you that you were crazy. But Greg Schiano and Rutgers, man, that's like a match made in heaven right there. Like I said, he's always every time he goes there, he gets those guys playing good. It's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be tougher than what people think. Rutgers is going to be looking to try to get that running game going. Washington is looking to try to keep in the top half of the conference, while Rutgers is looking for bowl eligibility this year. So, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. But I'm going to go with Washington on this one. But I don't think it's going to be too far off. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people think.
Yeah, Mark, this one was a tough one, man. I really had a kind of tough time picking this one. Like you were talking about, Greg Schiano's done a great job with Rutgers and what they've got going on up there. I was really, at the end of the day, I kind of came back to this one, though. I've kind of picked against Washington a couple of times, and it's kind of bit me. So I'm going to take the Huskies this week in this one. I'm going to ride with you on this one. So, but really looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a really good matchup in the Big Ten this week.
Oh yeah, like I said, that one's going to be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to that one myself. Also, one of the ones I'm really looking forward to is Michigan and USC. That's kind of like an old school Rose Bowl game from back in the day, man. So I'm really looking forward to this one. You got Bryce Underwood, good young quarterback. You got Mavea over there at USC. USC's got a really, really high potent offense. Michigan, Bryce Underwood is still trying to look to, get his footing in. He's starting to get better. Justice Haynes has run the ball really well. This one here is a tough one. I'm going to go with USC on this one though.
I like that pick, Mark. I mean, definitely Michigan's defense playing at a really high level right now, which has been really helpful for the young quarterback. It gets him to not rely on their offense as much. So Michigan getting it done a little bit, but I do really like the offense for USC this week. They're really starting to play at a very high level. And I think the Trojans, it's time to kind of maybe start talking about, are they starting to turn the corner and get back to their prominence as well? We talked about that with Miami last year. So is it time to talk about that with USC too, Mark? Maybe we can dive into a little bit of that later on as well. But I like USC in this one.
Oh yeah, like I said, I think Lincoln Riley's starting to try to get his footing in at USC. So I think there's going to be something to watch in the next couple of weeks. Third game might be the maybe even the best game of the weekend. You have Indiana against Oregon. Indiana last
Mm-hmm.
year, as everybody knows, was undefeated, but everybody said their schedule was weak. They didn't play nobody, blase blase. So right now, all they doing is coming right back and doing the same thing right where they left off last year. So this is gonna be a big, big test for them. Dan Lanning, he's always ready for these big games. He always has Oregon ready. Dante Moore is playing really good football. He could be, the leading candidate for the Heisman as of right now because he's really, really playing some good football. But like I said, Mendoza over there in Indiana also is doing really well. So
Yes, he
I
is.
mean, I think this is gonna be a high scoring game. This is gonna be a track meet. But basically, Oregon has a little bit better defense than Indiana. I think the offenses are pretty even, but I think based off of Oregon's defense, they'll be able to get one extra stop over Indiana and pull out the win on that
Mm-hmm.
one.
As y'all know, I've been talking about this all season long, Oregon, and I'm going to continue to stay on the Oregon Duck train. They were one of my national title contenders. I do think that they're still ready to contend for the national title. I think this game is going to show that, and I think they're going to get the job done. I totally agree with you, Mark, on this. I think it's going to be a big-time shootout. I think there's going to be a lot of points put up and a lot of offense put up in this game, but I think Oregon has enough talent especially at quarterback and other spots, that Dan Lanning gets this job done. I think Dan Lanning's also probably one of the top 5 coaches in America too. So I'm going to take the Ducks this week as well. So kind of interesting that we talked about the shootout, because our good friends over at Cowboy Revolution, they are sponsoring our segment this week. So thank y'all so much for all that y'all do for our show. Make sure y'all stop by cowboyrevolution.com and get your gear. Jay's over there rocking it, as you guys can tell. So we are ready to roll. So thanks so much. The next one that we're going to hit up is our good friends over at the SSN Army. They're going to talk to us a little about what's going on in the American Athletic Conference. So let us know what's going on. That one's going to be brought to us by TrueVictory.com. So thanks so much. Let us know what's going on in the American.
I'm Cuthbert from Sidelines Army. Let's dive right into the American Conference. Looking back at Week 6, our game of the week, the first leg of the 2025 CIC, Navy defeats Air Force 34-31. This was a game absolutely all offense all day. 989 total yards of offense between the midshipmen and the Falcons. This is really a tale of two quarterbacks. Blake Horvath for Navy, 20 for 26, 339 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air. He also had 17 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Zarka coming in from Colorado Springs, 11 for 19, 212 yards passing with 2 touchdowns, 25 carries, 152 yards, and 2 more touchdowns on the ground. An absolute show-stopping performance by both of these teams. I said it last week, Commander and Chiefs trophy games, they are coin flips in the best of times and the worst of times. As a reminder, for those of you unaware, the Commander and Chiefs trophy, it's the 3-way rivalry trophy held between Army, Air Force, and Navy. This was the first leg. The next leg will be held on November 1st when Army goes to Colorado Springs to take on Air Force. An absolutely incredible game. Navy was favored 12.5, 13.5, depending on what book you were looking at, but they ended up squeezing it out by 3. Meanwhile, wide receivers, obviously, when you put up that many passing yards, you're going to have some stellar highlights. Navy wide receiver Eli Heidenreich, 8 catches, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns with a long of 80. Coming out of Air Force, Fleischman had 6 catches, 166 yards, and a touchdown with a long of 68. This is absolutely one for the record books. Incredible game. Navy takes it home. Now it's all eyes on November 1st, because if Army can win at Air Force on November 1st, that means the Army-Navy game will be the game to decide who gets to keep the trophy until 2026. Elsewhere in the American Conference, USF rolls over Charlotte 54-26. It was 33-7 at halftime. Charlotte, they can't tackle. Their offense was struggling, less than 150 yards rushing, less than 150 yards passing. Byron Brown had 4 touchdown passes and another on the ground. He did throw 2 interceptions. I will say this too. I watched a little bit of this game, and I'll tell you right now, USF did not come into this game taking it particularly seriously. The guys on the sidelines, the players, they were laughing, they were carrying on. It was very clear to them that they were not particularly invested or taking this game seriously. Admittedly, Alex Golish, head coach, he is a Jimmy Johnson style. I like the swagger. Pop your jersey. Let's play loose. Let's play fast. So it might not be the end of the world. But as the American Conference really starts to get heated up with in-conference play, USF is going to need to be dialed in. Then again, this past week, they were playing Charlotte. Charlotte is really just not that good. Memphis rolls Tulsa 45-7. This was a boot-on-throat game. Memphis was in control, wire to wire. Their quarterback, Brendan Lewis, he went 22 for 30 for 266 and 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks. He also had 67 yards rushing and another touchdown on the ground. As I said last week, Memphis appears to be, and as of right now, they are the class of the American Conference. Tulsa still struggling to capture that magic they had in Stillwater some weeks ago. Trey Lamb doing the best he can there. I do think that bright days are ahead for the Golden Hurricane. It's just tough when you run into a bandsaw that is the 2025 Memphis Tigers. FAU defeats Rice 27-21. Now, this is not a win that I saw coming. Rice, as I've talked about week in and week out, they are very, very improved from where they were a year ago. FAU, they've been a little inconsistent. Their offense can show up, and when it does, it's a very powerful offense. But they have been very hot and cold this year. I really thought that Rice was going to win this one, but hey, FAU, the Owls of Ratmouth, they are not dead. Despite the fact that they had 2 turnovers, despite the fact that they only put 103 yards on the ground, and they gave up 350 yards to the Rice Owls, the FAU Owls came out with the victory. Army starting to get back on track, starting to right the ship. They beat UAB 31-13. This was not a perfect game by my Black Knights, but it is the first game since Kansas State that we have been able to put together quality through all 3 phases. The offense right now, it's being led by the 2-headed monster of Dwayne Coleman and Cale Helms. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. Unless you're Army. We have done this in the past. We seem to be doing it now. I'm not listening to the coaching staff who say, no, we're not doing quarterback by committee. No, they very well seem to be, and I'm okay with it. Dwayne Coleman and Cale Helms, they run different variations of the option offense. I think that puts the defense that they're facing at a distinct disadvantage because they don't know if they are going to get Dwayne Coleman, who's probably going to be running more out of the shotgun with the team spread out a little bit more, or if they're going to be getting Cale Helms, who passes a little bit less. He is more of a Bryson Daly, I'm going to patiently wait to pick my hole on a QB follow. I'm going to call my own number. Then again, this past weekend, they had an 18-play, 10-minute drive, a classic Army grind them out drive. And who was the one at the helm? Dwayne Coleman from shotgun. Meanwhile, Cale Helms, he's dropping 41-yard passes to Samari Howard. So I think having this 2-quarterback system is not a bad thing. They roll over UAB. Jalen Kitna did the best he could. He's a good quarterback. He's very, very serviceable. Unfortunately, UAB is just not a very good team. Trent Dilfer, still head coach there. Don't ask me why. And then in my most interesting game of the week from last week, Temple defeats UTSA. Unbelievable. Temple, so vastly improved from last year. Quarterback Evan Simon, he goes 15 for 24 for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. UTSA has got to right the ship. They were picked by many, by some, to be a potential contender for the American Conference Championship, or at least to get into the championship. They're sitting at 2-3, and their schedule is not favorable to them over the next month. So they have got to do something to right the ship. Meanwhile, in Philly, the Temple Owls have done something incredible. They have yet to turn the ball over this season. Now that is really commendable no matter what your record is. They've had 5 fumbles. They've recovered all of them. Evan Simon, he's got no interceptions. Really fantastic work coming out of there. Now let's jump into week 7 because we've got some great games, and my game of the week this week, it's a Friday night game. It might be over by the time you're watching this video. USF, number 24 in the country, the Bulls going to Denton to take on the undefeated Mean Green of North Texas. At present, at the time I'm recording this, North Texas is favored by 1.5. I think this is going to be an absolutely must-watch game on Friday night. We got Byron Brown from the Bulls and Drew Mestemaker on the Mean Green. Byron Brown, he is a very mobile, pass-first, scrambling quarterback. Behind him, the Bulls are averaging 40.6 points per game. This is a high-powered offense. Meanwhile, the North Texas Mean Green, Drew Mestemaker, he is a classic pocket passer, and they are averaging 44.8 points per game. I would expect this to be a very fast, very high-scoring game. I think there's going to be a fair number of 3-and-outs, a fair number of deep bombs, and I think this is going to be absolutely must-see TV. Neither of these teams average over 30 minutes time of possession, so expect quite a few possessions and quite a few big plays. Rice is traveling to UTSA. I already talked about this game. This is a really shaky one here. UTSA, you've got to get this win. You've got to get yourself back on track because after Rice, UTSA is playing North Texas, Tulane, and USF. And as of right now in 2025, that is something of a murderer's row within the American Conference. So UTSA, you got to beat Rice, but Rice 3-3, very, very, very much improved. They got their new head coach. They're leaning a little bit more into that option style offense that they've been running. This game is going to be getting played at the Alamo Dome. Historically, UTSA very good at the Alamo Dome, but this year's been a little bit disappointing. And if you think Jeff Traylor having meltdown press conferences in the middle of last year before pulling it together, I mean, if that's what we saw in 24, we may be looking at that again in 25 with these games that are coming up. UAB is traveling to Rapmouth to take on the Florida Atlantic Owls in Boca Raton. I think FAU should win this game. They have been a little inconsistent this year. When their offense is clicking, it appears to be a very strong, high-powered offense, but they have struggled with consistency. UAB, I poke fun at Trent Dilfer. They are better than they were last year, but they're not a great team. Do I think FAU is going to win? Yes. Would I be shocked if UAB pulls it out? No, not terribly. Charlotte travels to Mikey Stadium. My Black Knights finally get to host a game after a couple weeks of away. I don't want to count your chickens before they've hatched. Charlotte is really, really bad. There's no reason why Army shouldn't win this game. This game is truly beyond winnable. Charlotte has one win. It is against FCS Monmouth. FCS Monmouth is not in the same class as a North Dakota State or a Tarleton State. I'm not trying to make excuses for our loss to FCS Tarleton State, but they are undefeated, and they are number 3 in the country, and they are a very, very good FCS team. And Monmouth is not. And they beat them 42-35, had to squeeze it out by a touchdown. I don't see there's any chance that Charlotte is going to win this game. I'm sorry to say. I got a soft spot in my heart for the 49ers, but I just don't think this week is going to be it. I think you can expect Army to come out running very basic conservative packages. I think they're going to be working on fundamentals. They're going to be working on assignments. They got Tulane in 2 weeks. They obviously don't want to look past the 49ers, but I don't think that they're going to be pulling any tricks out of their bag unless they absolutely have to. I think Army is still trying to right the ship. I think they're almost there. That win against UAB last week was really, really big, but they've got a little bit more work to do. So hopefully this Charlotte game, it's going to line up just right for them. And the last game of the week that I'm going to talk about, it is my most interesting game. Navy goes to Lincoln Financial Field in Philly to take on the Temple Owls. Now, as of now, Navy is a 9.5-point favorite. And they are 5-0, and they are very, very good. But I'll be honest, I don't think they are quite as good as their record would indicate. Don't get me wrong. They are very, very good. They are 5-0. They deserve all of those wins. However, they have not had as many I am walking away from the other team and continuing to score in complete dominance. They are not holding teams down and putting their boot on their throat like I think some people expected this year. So 5-0, very impressive. Blake Horvath, they've got Alex Tesga, they've got Eli Heidenreich. This is a very powerful offense. Brian Newberry knows what he's doing, and Navy is a very good team. But as I talked about earlier, Temple vastly improved. Casey Keeler is really doing something special there. Evan Simon at quarterback. I'm not saying Temple is going to win this. They are underdog by 9.5 points. This is going to be a very, very interesting game to watch. I think it's probably worth your time. And hey, when it's the American Conference, it's always worth your time. Thank you so much. I'm Cuthbert from Sidelines Army. Go Army.
All right, welcome back in, folks. Thanks so much to our good friends over at True Victory. Again, Jay rocking out the really awesome gear over there that you can find at truevictory.com. We would like to thank our friends once again over at the SSN Army as well, letting us know what's going on. All right, folks, let's get into the picks as well this week. Our good friend Mark is over here leading us after the first half of the season. He is going to be one game up on both Jay and I. So let's go start with our first game up. We're going to try to make up some ground this week for me and Jay. We're going to start talking our first game now, and let's see if we can talk Florida, Texas A&M. Jay, I'm going to let you take us off with that one. And who are you going to take in that one this week? Were you the Gators or the Aggies?
Give me DJ Lagway in 2 weeks in a row, taking down 2 Texas teams. Florida wins.
I like it. Mark, who are you taking? Are you going to take Texas A&M or you got Florida this week, my friend?
All right, not so fast, my friend.
Oh, he's pulling it not so fast.
Like I said, Arch Manning is not Marcel Reed. Right now, Texas A&M is playing on another level. Texas was already overrated in the first place, and they just really got exposed by a very, very weak Florida team. I like DJ Lagway, but not in this game, man. Like I said, Texas A&M wins, and like I said, this game will be over by the first quarter.
Mark says it's over by the first. Now, y'all know I'm trailing down bad after last week, so I got to make up some ground too. I got to go perfect 7-0 this week. That's my goal. So I'm going to go with what I know this week, and I feel like Texas A&M is going to be at home. I really think that Texas really struggled last week, but Florida did play really well. But I just think this Texas A&M team is really playing on a much different level. So I'm going to try to kick this week off right and get a win. I'm going to take the Aggies at home against the Gators. So next up, we got Wake Forest taking on Oregon State. Wake's heading out west for the first time. They got a nice win against Virginia Tech last week. So, Jay, I'm going to let you take this one. Does Wake Forest continue their win streak, or do the Beavers take down Wake?
Oregon State's one of the worst teams in college football. Wake Forest goes in needing a win to stay competitive and to get their bowl wins in. Wake Forest wins this game for sure.
I like it. Mark, what you got for this one? Beavers or Demon Deacons?
Yeah, me and Jay's gonna actually agree on this one because Oregon State is terrible. Like I said, and Wake Forest, you know, they are playing really really good football defensively, doing really well. Like I said, yeah, this isn't this isn't even close.
So we all know, as y'all can tell from our shows before, like I said, I'm going to try to make this one 7-0. The Demon Deacon always leads the Deeks into the stadium on a motorcycle, and the Beavers are the ones that get run over this week by the motorcycle. So give me the Demon Deacons this week as well. So I'm going to start 2-0 on that one. So next up, we are going to be hitting our good friends over the program as well, heading to the Red River Rivalry. I really have been a huge fan of this game throughout my whole childhood and now going into its next year. So we just talked a little bit about Texas. So Mark, I'm gonna let you start out with that one. So does Oklahoma get this one, or does the Longhorns bounce back?
This is a tough one, and like I said, while I say Texas is overrated, Oklahoma has no material this week. So, you know, like I said, if John Material was healthy, it wouldn't even be a question. But like I said, Arch Manning is not very good quarterback. Oklahoma's defense is going to have him rattled all game long. Like I said, Brent Venables over there doing his thing. I still think Oklahoma takes this one.
I like it. Jay, who are you taking in this one?
Brent Venables all the way with Oklahoma. Texas has no answer for them. And even with their backup, Oklahoma's backup did very well in his first game starting, and he's had a week to prepare for this game because they were off last week.
So I'm going to make this one a clean sweep. I do like Brent Venables as well. I'm going to try to continue to maintain perfection this week. I'm going to start with Oklahoma. I'm going to take the Sooners this week. I do think that they're still a better team. Their defense is just really too good. So I'm going to take them this week. And then this one should be a pretty easy one for us across the board. But I'm going to let Mark start off with this one. NC State heads up to South Bend for another game at Notre Dame. So, Mark, who are you going to take in this one?
Are we actually doing this? So we're actually this is actually a question we got, right? Nah, man, I gotta mess with you. Yeah, give me the Catholics all day long. Like I said, easy game.
I like it. Jay, who are you going to take in this one?
You know what? I am picking Notre Dame, but I think it's going to be closer than what you think, Mark. I think the NC State has a way of at least making it close. So give me Notre Dame in this game, but it's closer than what you think.
Yeah, we Colby and I just talked about this, and y'all can catch our full episode breakdown here on the Greenville Sports Media YouTube site if you guys want really more in detail. I'm not going to get too much more in detail on it. This game is a game that's going to be really tough for an NC State team on the road. They really started playing a little bit better, but they played an FCS team last week against Campbell. So I'm really still not sure about whether this team can compete at the highest level like that. Dave Doran's record is what it is against the top 25. It's not very good, and even worse on the road. So I'm going to try to stay perfect again this week, and I'm going to take the Irish in Notre Dame as well. So clean sweep across the board on that as well. So the next thing that we're going to do up, though, is going to be our friend there in the Big Ten. We're going to do Ohio State and Illinois. This was another tough game that I had a tough pick. So, Mark, I'm going to let you lead us off as the Big Ten expert.
Well, right now, like I said, this game right here in the beginning of the year, I thought it was it was going to be a really, like the two of the top four teams in the Big Ten. Illinois, I don't really know what you're getting with Illinois, because like I said, they got blown out by Indiana, but then bounced back and beat USC. So right now, they have a really good quarterback over there, Altmaier. They got a very good team. Like I said, I do like Illinois, but man, that Matt Patricia defense is absolutely insane over there in Ohio State. As a Penn State fan, look here, man. I don't even want to say what I'm going to pick. So just the bums in Ohio will win this game.
I like that. Jay, who are you taking in this one, the Illini or the Buckeyes?
Well, since Mark won't say it, I will. Give me Illinois in the upset over Ohio State this weekend.
Jay looking to try to bounce back and take a game from Mark. So we talked about this one all year. Ohio State was one of my favorites preseason. They're still one of my favorites. I'm going to make it short and sweet. I do like Illinois playing a little bit better, but I'm going to take Ohio State trying to stay perfect this week. So I'm going to take the Buckeyes in this one. And then we're going to head down to Jay's country next. So we're going to have the Furman Paladins. They're going to be taking on the Western Carolina Catamounts. So Steve is our on-site reporter for that. So make sure y'all check out his coverage from the game as he gets up there on Saturday. So, fellas, I'm going to let you take this one first, Jay. As our SoCon expert, who do you got in this one, Paladins or Catamounts?
Well, if you listen to all the noise, Western Carolina is going to run over Furman like a Mack truck because of their quarterback, who is very good. No one's going to say anything bad about this guy. He has put them on his back and took them to where they need to be right now, which is back into the title contention. But the problem is he's going to meet a guy named Stone King, who is the leading sacker in FCS and has been able to overpower guys twice his size. And he has won mean guy. And our defense, our secondary has been well. I look for Furman to win this game, but it will not be a blowout on either side, regardless of who wins. I think it's going to be Furman by 1 point, 38-37.
I like it. Mark, who are you going to take in this one?
I had a firsthand look at Teron Dickens last week. I was in the press box for Wofford, Western Carolina, and I said in the beginning he was my SoCon Player of the Year. I'm going to stick by that. I mean, but to go 53 of 56 is absolutely insane. Completing your first 46 passes, like I said, phenomenal performance. But let's go ahead and let's call a spade a spade. See, Buchanan finalist right now, and he wasn't in the game. Maximus Pulley was all SoCon safety, wasn't in the game. Like I said, Teron Dickens is good, but Western Carolina's giving up over 200 yards rushing right now. So I think their defense is not that good. So, and I think Furman does have the better defense in this one. So yeah, I'm going to take the Paladins on this one.
I like that. I think Jay really hit the nail on the head on this one. I mean, Stone King is just playing at an unreal level right now. I got to watch him up close and personal too against Campbell. And, you know, I talk about the quarterback play at Furman a lot, and there's a lot to like there too. But I really like Furman's defense. Like you said, Mark, I really like their front. And I think Furman's going to get some pressure on this game, and I think it's going to take him out of rhythm. So I'm going to take Furman as well. So let's take that clean sweep as well across the board. And then last but not least, we've got our TGFF game of the week, and we are going to be heading to Missouri. So, Jay, I'm going to let you talk about that one. Bama, Missouri this week. Do the Tide continue to roll, or does Eli Drinkwitz and his Tigers got something for him?
Well, folks, this is the last time you're going to see Alabama in our Pick'em contest. They've had 3 games of the week. Vandy, they also had Georgia, and now they got Missouri. The last 2 times, I've been wrong. This time, I won't be, because I'm still picking against Alabama. Give me Missouri in an upset in this game.
Oh, I like that. Getting spicy over there, Jay. Mark, what you got in this one?
In the beginning, before Jay picked Missouri, I was going to say Missouri. I don't like Eli Drinkwitz, but I like Ahmad Hardy at running back. I think he definitely should be a Heisman candidate at running back. But since I don't really like picking with Jay, I'm going to say Ty Simpson has a really, really good game at quarterback. Ryan Williams is starting to play better at receiver. I think Caleb DeBoer is finding his stride with Alabama. So, you know, Jay, you ruined my pick. So but I can't go with you on this one. I'm going to change it over to Bama on this one.
That's fine. I just get extra wins this week.
That's right. Jay trying to pick up some slack. We're going to try to pick up as well. Y'all know where I've been at Bama the last 3 weeks. I was not with them early in the season after that Florida State loss, but I've been rolling with the Tide ever since then, and I'm going to continue to roll Tide this week as well. I think it's going to be very, very tight, though. This game is going to be a really tough game, fourth quarter type game, but I think Bama's going to get it done. They showed me a lot in the last 2 weeks against Georgia and Vandy, so I do think the Tide continues to roll. So there y'all have it. Perfect 7-0. We're going to make up a lot of ground this week on my end. And Mark and Jay are going to continue to battle it out for the
Hello, everybody. It's your old pal, Ralphie. Give me, in this week's Hidden Pretty Dog Grooming Upset of the Week, give me Pittsburgh over FSU. That's right, Pittsburgh over FSU. Oh, yo, whoa, whoa, whoa.
So, as always, make sure you take your stuff over to the nearest Cheer One factory. Get yourself a nice Cheer One ice cold. We are going to be always brought to you by that. So, and then Jay, we're going to hit up our
this is Chris Miller from the Coach's Box Call, like we see it podcast, and this is our weekly preview for the SEC for Thank God for Football Game Day. This episode, as all of our episodes, are brought to you by Pepsi. I'm telling you guys what, if you're not drinking a Pepsi, I just got done. I just finished one, man. it's awesome. So whether you're gearing up for game day or hanging out with friends, or you just need the perfect refreshing break, nothing quite hits the spot like an ice cold Pepsi. Bold, crisp, always refreshing. Pepsi is the taste that fuels the moment. So crack one open. I need to crack another one open because I just finished this one. And let's jump right into our games this week. I mean, we've had some really good SEC games that have been going on all year long. This week, we're going to take just a little step back on them. There's a couple of really nice games as we do start to kind of kick into the conference schedule, not exactly into the meat of things, but you do start seeing the conference schools playing each other a little bit more, not as many non-conference games. South Carolina at LSU. LSU is favored by 9.5 points. We're going to see exactly what South Carolina looks like against a top-tier team like LSU. I think LSU is going to win. Georgia is on the road at Auburn. They're only favored by 3.5 points. These two teams always play each other tough. It'll be interesting to see how Georgia responds after taking the loss. Florida, who I would say it's an upset that they beat Texas. They're taking on number 5 Texas A&M. I think A&M, they're going to do their business at home. 12th man's going to be loud, proud. They're only favored by 7.5. I don't think Florida is going to jump up and make a big shocking upset here. You got another game. You got Washington State at Ole Miss. That's a blowout. Ole Miss is favored by 31.5 points. I look for them to take care of business there. But so let's jump right into our games. We're not going to talk too much about these other ones. Arkansas at Tennessee. That's I don't know if that's exactly a very good game. I think Tennessee is they're gonna take care of their business too. They're favored by 11.5 points. That is one that I'm kind of keeping an eye on because I do think, as we've kind of mentioned a little bit, there's going to be maybe some big changes here going on in Arkansas. Kind of curious to see how all that's going to play out. Not exactly the season they've been looking for. So that's probably one to keep an eye on. But the two best games this week, I think, let's start with the first one. We've got number 6 Oklahoma. They are going to Texas. The game's at the Cotton Bowl. And the crazy part about it is Texas fell out of the rankings and they're favored by 1.5. So kind of curious to see what this is going to look like. Oklahoma has played, I think, a little bit better than what everybody else has thought that they were going to do this year. So they're on the right track. I mean, they're in the top 10 and playing very, very well. Texas, on the other hand, huge disappointment. Started out preseason number 1, Arch Manning preseason Heisman. Arch Manning has not looked like anything Manning related at all. So this is a game right now where if Texas loses again, and even though they're favored right now, even though they're playing at home, this is a very dangerous game for Sarkisian because this could be it. I mean, there's a lot of high expectations going on in Texas. Good recruiting class, but for some reason it looks like Arch Manning is running for his life. So that's a game to kind of keep your eye on that I think is going to be a good game. I think it'll be close. I just don't see Texas winning because Oklahoma is much better and their defense is going to be chasing Manning all day long. If Manning struggles, will Sarkisian be able to sit him on the bench? That's a big question I have. Now, the biggest game of the week, and it is the primetime game that's not being played in primetime, is number 8 Alabama playing at number 14 Mizzou. That's right. You've got Missouri. They don't even have game day. They decided to go to Oregon this week, which, okay, I guess that's okay. But SEC Nation's there. This is a game that Mizzou, if they want the respect of the entire country, they have to have a showing in this game. The last time they played Alabama, it wasn't pretty. Alabama is favored by 2.5 points. I mean, you've got some interesting storylines going on here. The pundits are saying Mizzou's not a team to sleep on. I personally believe that. They have the number one rushing running back in the country in Ahmad Hardy, who is an early Heisman hopeful right now. And you have probably the best quarterback playing right now on the other side with Simpson. And it's this is the game that if Mizzou can control the line of scrimmage and control the ball and utilize the running game, have short down and distance, it's going to be curious to see how Alabama deals with that, because they're not built that way. If they were built like an old Nick Saban football team, it would be a different story. So right now, Alabama is, they took care of business against upstart Vanderbilt last week, but Mizzou is in a situation where Drinkwitz and the Tigers can have a shot to really propel themselves into the national spotlight. I'm not sure how that'll go. I think it'll be a close game. Personally, I do hope it's a close game. As a fan of Mizzou, I am picking the Tigers in an upset because I do think they are built in a way that they can control the ball and control the line of scrimmage. My biggest concern, and if you've watched any Missouri games, is what's going to happen with the secondary, because they have not played really, really well. And Simpson is having a fantastic season. He's taking care of the ball, and he can make big throws. So the Missouri defense has to get in his face. The front four have to do some damage against Alabama. Could be a shootout. It could be. It could go one way or another. It's as far as how the game is played. I do think it'll be close. I'm hoping it's close, and I'm hoping the Tigers can take care of business and propel themselves to get some national recognition. They've done a great job. Drinkwitz has done a great job. And to be honest with you, Kalen DeBoer has done a great job after having an embarrassing loss to Florida State. Florida State's a good team, but Alabama seems to be finding their groove too back in national contention. So that's the best game. Whatever reason, they're playing at 11 a.m., which I do think favors Mizzou, but we'll see how things go. But it's fun. I'm excited about it, and excited for another week of SEC football, and I can't wait to get the games going. So I'm Chris Miller from the Coach's Box Call Like We See It podcast, and this is our SEC segment for Thank God for Football Game Day. We'll see you guys.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the show. We're gonna head our good friend. He's out there again somewhere, Jay. I heard he's week 2 of doing some hunting again. So our good friend of the program, Uncle Bobby, is out there hunting again. Jay, last week it was whitetail. This week we don't know what he's going to be out there hunting for. It ain't no telling where he's at. But as always, our good friend of the program, Uncle Bobby, has been found. He is going to give us some picks of the week. And those are going to be brought to you by our good friends over at the Point RV at Lake Hartwell. So make sure if you are looking for a vacation destination over in the Clemson area in Lake Hartwell, make sure you give our good friends at the Point RV at Lake Hartwell a stop and check in with them. Make sure you stop in and give them some love. So Uncle Bobby was on the hunt last week. He hunted it down last week, and now he's on the hunt again, Jay. So we're going to have to see if he's got another big game that he can find this week. So we'll see what happens with him. So y'all have fun enjoying that.
Everybody, it's your old pal Uncle Bobby. This week, Uncle Bobby's being more protective. That's right. I ran all out of North Carolina when I was hunting some whitetail, and now I hear the belly checky. He's getting about ready to be run out of there, North Carolina. But I'm here to talk about my tigers. I'm talking about the Clemson Tigers. Woo-wee! The best team in the land. That's right, Debo's got the boys back going good again. And this week, they go to Boston College, and they're gonna whoop up on them Boston College boys. I tell you, I don't care how big their offensive line is. I don't care about their defense or their offense. Debo's got the boys back. The Tiger Paw is back in attack. And I'm telling you right now, give me Clemson over Boston College by 25. That's right, 25 over them Boston College Eagles. If I have to, I'll get my gun out and I'll go eagle hunting. That's what I'm talking about. And let's talk about some other teams. That's right. This week we got the Red River Shootout. And I know a former Clemson boys on that coaching staff. I'm talking about Brent Venables. He's going to tear up Texas. They're going to take them Longhorns and put them on the front of that wagon and ride them all the way back to Oklahoma. That's right. They're going to ride them back to Oklahoma. So give me Oklahoma over Texas. And then one more. Let's talk about Furman versus Western Carolina. Western Carolina's got the quarterback that everybody wishes they had. But I'm going to tell you what he don't know. He ain't seen Stone King. That's right. Stone King of Furman's going to tear that quarterback up. He's not going to be able to do anything. So give me Furman over Western Carolina in a big upset, that's right, and they're going to beat them by 10 points. Give me the Uncle Bobby Special of the Week, Furman over Western Carolina. Give me Clemson over Boston College, and Oklahoma takes on Texas and gets the Red River Shootout win. Woo-wee! Go Bobby! Brought to you by my favorite drink.
All right, folks, there you heard it. Uncle Bobby, as always, just no answer, no explanation for what he does and how he does it. Just know that his 3 picks are almost like my picks, and I'm almost afraid to admit that. But it is what it is. Uncle Bobby, please stay away from the hunting. If anybody's out there and you see him, please do not try this at home. Just let him go. But one thing we do know is that Uncle Bobby will always be at Clemson Wine Bar, one of our other sponsors of TGFF Game Day. So make sure you go by to Clemson Wine Bar, because more than likely you'll find Uncle Bobby there hunting whitetail. But anyway, we just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this week. As always, Justin, Mark, and myself appreciate your coming to our site, greenvillesportsmedia.com. We thank you for following our show. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, leave comments, unless it's for Uncle Bobby, because he can't read. So do not leave comments underneath there for him. But you can leave them for Mark, because Mark can read and he needs to know just how bad Penn State is. But anyway, we just want to thank all of you for joining us each and every week. And always remember, we appreciate you. Goodbye.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great weekend, great college football Saturday, folks. So enjoy the week.
TGFF, thank God for football. Game day. 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 You have tuned in to another episode of Thank God for Football, brought to you by the Fanboys, powered by Greenville Sports Media.